Faith. Thank you for joining me here on this vegan plant-based summit. How are you today?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
You're not known online as Faith. What's your name online?
The Conscientious Eater, which is quite a mouthful, but yeah, that's the name of my blog and how most people know me.
So I first came across you on YouTube. You're quite a successful YouTuber, and it's all about the plant-based lifestyle, isn't it?
Yep.
So where did it all start?
Right after we got married, 3 months after we got married, I realized dairy wasn't sitting well in my stomach, and that caused me to research a plant-based diet. And I learned a ton about the health benefits, environmental and ethical aspects, and decided not long after that to transition cold turkey, and haven't really looked back 8 years later.
So when you went cold turkey, did you experience any side effects at all, whether they're positive or negative? Because people associate cold turkey with the shakes and the headaches and the, oh my goodness, I just can't cope with this. So how was that overnight transition for you?
It was stressful, to be honest, because I wasn't great at cooking. I didn't really know how to eat without chicken and yogurt and eggs. Those were staples in my diet. And so I just remember waking up that next morning and being really stressed and being like, what am I going to eat? I know I'm committed to this, but I have no idea where to start. So it was stressful in that sense, but I quickly realized some benefits or experienced the benefits, and that kept me going. So I've always been really active and into athletics. And so I just noticed I would recover quicker from my runs and my workouts. And I felt great. I had good digestion. And soon it became less stressful and became more of a creative outlet of, okay, how do I make this chicken pasta that I used to eat plant-based? And it just became fun.
You say you found your creative outlet, but surely if you weren't good at cooking, how did you go from not being very good at cooking to a huge YouTube following on the plant-based diet?
Well, I wouldn't say huge, but we're hoping to get there. I practice. 3 meals a day. My husband cannot cook, and so I would have to come up with recipes every day. And back then, there weren't a ton of. I didn't really watch YouTube at the time. There weren't many vegan products on the market. Like the Impossible Burger wasn't even around yet, and so I had to search online, or I would search my favorite recipes that weren't vegan and just kind of make substitutions. And sometimes it would be a hit and sometimes it would be a fail. And slowly I just learned, it became second nature, learning how to veganize some of my favorite recipes and how to come up basically with the building blocks of a just well-balanced, delicious plant-based meal. So a lot of practice, lots of fails. And that's where my blog was born. I created my blog as a way to document these recipes, and it just has become easier the more I practiced, and became a lot of fun.
And for anybody visiting your blog, they'll know that you've won an award for your plant-based meals, your plant-based blog sites, should I say.
Top 50 vegan blogs, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been so fun to connect with other bloggers and to see it grow from just being a hobby into a part-time job. And slowly we hope to make it a business, full-time business. So it's been really cool to see that as all the practice is starting to pay off and people are starting to come to me for advice on how to transition. They don't know where to start. And so I'm trying to provide the resources for people that are in my shoes now, so that they don't have to be as stressed as I was. So I'm really glad people are using my blog and finding it and enjoying my recipes.
Now, one of the things that I found extraordinary was you were an expat living in countries like China and Malaysia. You've traveled around quite a bit. How did you manage to eat plant-based in China and Malaysia on an everyday basis?
First of all, you need to have a why. Why are you eating this way? Because that will keep you going when the going gets tough, so to say. So yeah, we lived in a small city in China where I would walk, I don't know how detailed I should be, but it was normal to walk by chickens being killed on the side of the road, and I'd walk by hanging pigs on my way to class every day. And so it was very weird to my Chinese friends that I didn't eat animal products. And so in that sense, I would say it wasn't really understood, but most countries in the world have so many plant-based staples. It was so easy to find tons of produce, tofu, soy milk, all that stuff on every corner of the street. And so eating at home, if I cooked for myself, was really easy because I was able to find everything I need, or I was able to learn to make it at home from scratch, like almond milk and stuff like that. And then I just learned I would try my best when I'd eat out. We didn't speak Chinese when we first got there. And so I would try my best to eat, like pick the tofu out of certain dishes or just hope it was veggie broth. And I just didn't stress about it. And that's what keeps a plant-based diet sustainable for me, just as we continue to travel and interact with people from different countries.
As you've traveled around, you've been around different cultures. If there are people out there listening to your talk that are from a different culture to ours and they're thinking about going plant-based, what advice would you give them to transition into a plant-based diet?
Start slow. Again, know your why. Maybe do some research so that you know why you want to transition, whether that's for health benefits, whether you've learned more about how it impacts our environment when we eat animal products, stuff like that. Or if you want to stop consuming animals for ethical reasons, then those are huge reasons as to why to transition. And then I definitely like to promote transitioning slowly. So maybe choose 1 week to try to get rid of your cow's milk from your diet, find some non-dairy milks. And you might find that you like a certain kind of milk in your cereal versus your coffee or your tea, and just start slow, finding those substitutions for animal products you eat on a regular basis. I would say finding community is really great. We live in Malaysia usually, and it's really easy on Facebook to find vegan potlucks. Well, before this past year, it was really easy to find people to socialize with that had similar values to me, and that made it not seem such a lonely diet. You could find people that understood you and support each other.
You have a very young family, and you're obviously raising them the plant-based way. How important do you think diet is to younger people?
I think it's really important. My family isn't completely vegan. My daughter is 3, and I try to educate her as best I can on a plant-based diet. She's a great eater, will eat whatever I cook her. But right now I'm just mainly trying to give her a well-balanced plant-based diet, and slowly over time, hopefully she'll get her own why as to why she wants to continue eating a plant-based diet. But I grew up on like Captain Crunch and all that stuff. So part of me knows it's really important for kids as they're developing to eat wholesome foods, but also that it doesn't matter what age you transition, you can still see benefits. Like it took me 23 years, I guess, to start eating a healthier diet, and I was still able to reap those benefits and see changes even in my cholesterol and all that stuff. So it's never too late to start. But I do love educating my daughter and feeding her vegan foods, and find it's really important to start them young.
So for people out there who've got young families who are battling with the processed food on one side because of the marketing and the kids just love it, and then cabbage on another side, what would your approach as a mother be in trying to get more veggies into your child's diet?
I love to keep meal times fun, or if ever I'm introducing my daughter to a new food or a new vegetable, I try to make sure that there's something that's familiar also on her plate, so it's not this overwhelming, so that meal times aren't overwhelming and there's always something I know she'll enjoy. But trying to cut veggies in different fun shapes, trying different cooking methods, like if your kid hates steamed vegetables, try roasting them with a little olive oil and salt. Try pureeing them into a smoothie or a soup. So I try to always mix up how I prepare my produce just to keep it exciting. You can make fun shapes or faces with produce, use cucumbers for eyes and the banana for a smile. Just, I really notice a change in my daughter and her excitement for food when it's kid friendly in that sense. So definitely recommend just getting creative, keeping it fun, and also just making sure that there's something on their plate that's familiar to them so that meal times are exciting and don't become stressful.
As far as your blog's concerned and your YouTube channel, can we see more child-friendly recipes occurring? Are you going to introduce child-friendly meals onto your blog and your YouTube site?
Yeah, I love that question because I have the longest list and already have recipes in the works for a plant-based kids ebook, or I don't know if we'll print it because I just published a beginner's guide to a plant-based diet, but the next one in the works will be all based around healthy, fun, easy to make kid food. So you guys can keep your eyes open for that.
Let's take you back to when you first became plant-based and you had an intolerance to dairy. It wasn't sitting right in your stomach. What, apart from those benefits there, what other benefits did you actually see? Was it overnight? Was it a week or 2 months? Or what happened?
I definitely noticed a lot right away. I would say most, at least in America, I'm American, so I would say a lot of Americans are constipated, just to be blunt. And that is definitely something I don't deal with on a plant-based diet, and neither does anybody in my family. So just good digestion is huge. Just eating plants is going to make sure that you have a lot of fiber in your diet. And I think a lot of Americans are deficient in fiber. So yes, good digestion, a lot of energy. I noticed that I eat it, even though I'm not eating animal products. You would think taking certain foods out of your diet would mean you don't eat as varied of a diet, but it made me expand the amount of foods that we eat on a weekly basis. So we eat a very varied diet. So getting in tons of nutrients every day. So those are definitely some benefits that I noticed. Again, not being as sore so long was really cool to see that transition. And I always forget about this because it was so long ago, but I had cholesterol in the 200s at the age of 20. And I remember going to the doctor and my doctor was like, yeah, that's pretty normal. And yeah, for Americans, that is normal, but normal isn't good in that sense. And so I was able to see that drop really quickly when I transitioned. So that was a huge thing that I don't have to worry about.
That's amazing, and that's the general theme that's coming through this summit, that there are huge health benefits to be had by going plant-based. If you were to give people advice on how to transition naturally and improve their digestion and their health, what would it be?
Again, start slow, just find substitutions because you want it to be sustainable. You don't want it to be stressful and that you just give up. So finding substitutions slowly for foods that you usually eat so that you can know you will enjoy the food you're going to start eating more of. I would say it is really cool to see those blood results, those blood test results. So you could start at the beginning getting your blood taken, and then a few months later getting it taken again and seeing those changes. That would be really motivating to keep going. Finding people to do it with you so that you can also stay motivated and have support. But just keep at it and don't beat yourself up if you're trying to transition. You can start small, and if you make mistakes or eat animal products when you're not meaning to or not even wanting to, there's always the next day to keep at it and to, not give up.
Do you think simplicity is the key to sustaining it?
I think a lot of people, when they think vegan, think, oh, I have to be making these elaborate, fully homemade plant-based meals with my cashew sour cream and all these crazy toppings. But a lot of staple foods are already plant-based, and just keeping it simple with the grains, some veggies, and a protein source. Find a good sauce, and you can keep that sustainable for a long time. So yes, just keep it simple, have fun, and expand your cooking skills as you go when you're able.
What do you think the future of the plant-based diet is worldwide?
It will just continue to grow. That's the only way I can see it going, just as people start to realize, yeah, the Western diet probably isn't the greatest, because a lot of Western foods went to Asia. And so I'm sure people that start to incorporate Western processed foods into their diet will start to see negative effects, and it might just start to swing back the other way. I have a lot of hope for it, because while we lived in a small city in China, and I was seen as pretty crazy there, we now live in Malaysia, and it is just so easy to eat a plant-based diet there. There are vegan restaurants all over the city that will deliver right to my door. There's everything I could need at the grocery store. And so already seeing the accessibility to plant-based products in restaurants in Malaysia and a lot of the other bigger countries that I'm traveling to gives me hope that it will start to spread out to maybe the more remote places. And it's exciting to see the changes that are taking place and just how accessible and well-known a plant-based diet is becoming. I'm currently in America. Usually I live in Malaysia, but I just was asked to participate in what would you call it? Just spreading awareness on a plant-based diet for environmental reasons, just to help the environment in Malaysia. And so people are already starting to make an effort to make our environment better. There's tons of pollution, as many people have heard and probably experienced in China and even in Malaysia. There's months out of the year where there's just smog and smoke everywhere. And so people are getting sick of it, and we want to see a change. And so I think as people start to raise awareness of how much a plant-based diet can help these issues, then that will really start to catch on, I think, and people will start to make those changes so that we can see our earth looking better, feeling better. And I'm looking forward to those days.
It's an eye-opener just listening to people who have been into living in foreign environments, and listening to their perspective on how it actually is rather than how we think it is.
Yeah, I would say if you eat a plant-based diet, even for ethical reasons, you don't need to be scared to travel. It is very doable to maintain a plant-based diet in most parts of the world. Most of the cuisines are based around plant-based foods. Thai, rice noodles, rice curries, beans and rice. So don't be scared to travel and experience the world, even if you're eating a plant-based diet. And that's going to be how we can spread the message.
So Faith, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you today. Thank you for joining me on this vegan plant-based summit. And I wish you well with your blog and your YouTube channel and your cookbooks, obviously.
Yeah, it's been really fun to share my journey with you guys. And I just hope to inspire people that you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be like me. Even going vegan cold turkey, adding more plants into your diet will make a huge change to your health, the environment, to the animals. So just starting small, and it gets easier the longer you stick with it.
Thank you.